Hey everyone and welcome back. And on this channel, I'm hoping what you guys do appreciate from what I like to do is that I do like to chop and change the ideas of my videos, the topics and the themes, whether it may be, tactical analysis videos, whether it may be, historical videos or reactionary based videos, opinion based videos, player bios or transfers whenever the markets are happening. And I've got another one I can add to hopefully the ensemble of ideas that I do. And that is a what if series of videos. And the idea came about because I'm a massive Marvel fan. I'm a huge Marvel Cinematic Universe fan or comic book fan, whatever it may be. I've been following it since I was a young age, like a young kid. And seeing it obviously be quite successful in recent times and the films that have come out over the last decade and a half. Obviously I have Disney Plus, I have the streaming platform, and they brought out a new channel, a new show called Marvel's What If, and it looks at the storylines from as we know it as a viewer from all the films, and it ponders the questions of what if things happen differently as opposed to what we know as viewers. And obviously, being a bit of a nerd, being a lover of like multiverse theory, and also being a massive fan for Milan, I thought to myself, what if I couldn't take this question and adapt it to Milan? What if I can look at our past? What if I can look at decisions that were made, whether it was management, whether it was, hierarchy decisions, whether it was ownership, whether it was player sales, player purchases, injuries, anything really that were key, or maybe even not key topics of discussion, but at least that has an effect on, our present or our past at the time, and really make a conclusion if things could have been better or worse if things panned out differently. So for all the viewers out there, I'm not sure how long you guys have been following Milan for. Obviously the longer the better, but if not, at least you jumped on the right train for now. But at least for the first video, I'm going to keep it quite relevant, keep it quite a topic of discussion that's quite new. So I'm going to look at the topic of what if Milan did not sell Patrick Cutrone to facilitate signing Rafael Leao in the summer transfer window of 2019. And really, to do all this, I have to break things down. I have to look at the facts of the deal. I have to look at the reaction after both of those deals went through, and I can look at what's happened since then for both players in their careers. So really, starting off at least for the deals back then, we have to go back to the summer of 2019. The 30th of July is when Milan made the decision to sell Patrick Cutrone to Wolverhampton Wanderers, or what we call in this country Wolves, for 18 million euros. And this was a fee. I guess I'll get onto the reaction in a second, but to break it down quickly, this was a fee that wasn't really that great. We've got a player here that's burst onto the scene for Milan. He's never really been a starting striker for the club. He's always been someone who's the rotational striker. He's always been competing for his space with players like Gonzalo Higuain, Andre Silva, Nikola Kalinic, even like Christoph Piontek. So he's always having to, be playing second fiddle. But despite this, he racked up 90 appearances over around 2 years, got 27 goals, he got 8 assists. So there's a nice turnover. But so to only get 18 million euros is a bit it's a bit of a kick in the teeth. And then we move on to the second player in this sort of debate, and that is Rafael Leao. And he was signed a couple of days later after selling Cutrone on the 1st of August 2019. And this fee was around 30 million euros. Obviously, we took that money that we got for Cutrone and reinvested it in another striker, Rafael Leao. He was an unknown quantity. He was someone who, to be honest, if we know as fans of football, and if you weren't following Ligue 1 at the time, you didn't quite know who Rafael Leao was. You knew he was a young player. He was 20 at the time, 1 year younger than Patrick Cutrone. And management had to be really confident that they were signing the right sort of player, especially in a striking position, if we were letting go of someone like Patrick Cutrone. I will mention as well that Thiago Giallo was made as like make weight in this deal. He was sold back to Lille for 4 million euros. So that kind of, we look at that fee that we paid for Rafael Leao, it kind of does go down to 26 million euros if you do incorporate the money we got for Thiago Giallo at the time. Now really to look at the reaction, and the timing of selling Cutrone wasn't great, because obviously as fans, and we loved our Primavera players to do really well at this club, that same summer we sold Manu Locatelli to Sassuolo, and they had obviously the loan with the right to buy. So to sell two players like Cutrone and Locatelli in the space of, let's say a month, isn't a good omen. It's not great for the club, and especially for fees that you kind of think you could have got more for. Locatelli went for around 16 million euros, and Cutrone went for 18 million euros. And I guess fans want to see their players do well. I spoke about a couple of months ago about Tommaso Pobega, potentially selling him for around this fee. Is it the right decision? And really, this is what Cutrone touched on. Cutrone touched on an interview shortly after joining Wolves, and he spoke about there's this thing in Serie A, it's common knowledge these days that they've given up on their homegrown players and they much prefer foreigners. And whether you like that or not, maybe that might be the case. But at the same time, do you do what you have to do to become successful? And that's really where Milan were in this position where they gave up on a few youngsters to make a quick buck, and obviously that's great profit to make for a club, and they reinvested it and signed a foreigner. So we know the details of both deals. We know that the money that we got for Patrick Cutrone was able to facilitate the deal for Rafael Leao. We also know that it was a risk. We also know the reaction that selling your Primavera players isn't the best idea to do to keep fans happy, especially a player who's done reasonably quite well for the club in Patrick Cutrone. What's happened since then, though, is quite remarkable, at least for Cutrone's perspective. And what we see is a complete nosedive of a career. Before I get onto Cutrone, I want to talk about Rafael Leao, because I do feel like this is a chance for me to pay him some respect, which I've not previously given him on this channel. And there's a reason for it. He's been very inconsistent for his Milan career. He's been someone who has been quite frustrating, starts seasons quite well, especially we saw that last season. He's been with us now for 2 seasons and a bit now, but he looks like he's finally buying in. He looks like he's finally, well, things have just clicked in all perspectives, whether it's himself, whether it's purely finding himself and facilitating him his best position within the side, kind of playing as a sort of inverted left winger, left midfielder, and things just seem to work a lot better now. We do know his form has been fantastic since the start of the season. 4 goals and 1 assist in 9 games so far this season is very impressive, and hopefully he keeps this run going forward. So I'm not quite bought onto the hype train yet, but he has started off fantastically, a lot better than last season, the start of last season, and hopefully there's some continuity as well going forward, and obviously a lot better than his first season. And he's very young still, he's only 22 years old. So Leao looks like, you know, quite a respectable investment, let's say. Now let's move on to Patrick Cutrone. He's someone who is completely, like I said, had a nosedive of a career. He moved to Wolves, and things just didn't quite go quite well. You know, got a couple of goals, they got a couple of assists, but they didn't quite like what they had there. They then made the decision to loan him out to clubs like Fiorentina, Valencia, and he's now currently at Empoli. When I talk about this guy having a nosedive career, it's absolutely just staggering, because when we look back at the player that we had at our disposal here, Cutrone, he looked like a great goal poacher, great in the air, great aerial ability, great aggression and hustle to close down defenders. He, you know, great passion, everything about it. I loved seeing him as a player. You know, I just remember the goal he scored in the Coppa Italia fixture against Inter Milan. It was great to get that 1-0 win through that. But looking back at the decision to shift him off at the time, looks like it'd be the right decision. Even I bring up the fact that his last club goal in his career came on the 19th of July 2020 for Fiorentina, a club he's been at, what, 2 clubs ago now. So he's currently at Empoli. He did a shift last year at loan at Valencia and also a bit at Wolves. But the season before that, he was at Fiorentina. This was actually the COVID season, towards the end of the COVID season. That's mental. That's really mad. Like, that's his last club goal. It was against Torino as well, which I guess anyone can really score against them. But the point being is that it looks like we made the right decision for this player. And then what we have with Rafael Leao, we have someone who is just exploding in his career, hopefully. He's someone who has great amounts of speed, athleticism, acceleration, dribbling skills, improvisation. It's a very clean finish with that right foot, even his left foot finishing as well, but mostly that right foot is a clean finish. Fantastic goals that he scored so far in big games this season. Atletico Madrid, Atalanta, Lazio. He's coming up trumps, and what we're seeing is, well, hopefully the start of something special in a young kid's career. And if we look back at that question, the what if, what if we didn't sell Cutrone to sign Rafael Leao? It would have been such a bad decision. We have to look back not just mainly at Leao and the prospect that he can potentially be as a star player, someone who's kind of built in the mould of like an Mbappe, but obviously leaps and bounds away from that for now. But he's someone who gives us a great variety to our attacking side. We have to look more at Cutrone and the nosedive of a career that he's had. And we can sit here and say that, maybe it's because he's had like a sort of erratic movements from different clubs to clubs, and maybe he needs to be at one club for a long period of time before he gets his career back on track. We do know that he's definitely not as good as Rafael Leao. We do know that his stats right now just isn't looking appealing. Even there was even talk like last summer to get him back as a third striker. That's how embarrassing it was, instead of getting Pietro Pellegrini. So yeah, really looking back at the past and looking back at his decision, what if we didn't sell Patrick Cutrone for Rafael Leao? That would have been a completely horrendous decision. And yeah, that's it, guys, for now. So this was a video to praise Rafael Leao, but I will be picking up some interesting topics going forward on this sort of what if series. And luckily, in this occasion, we lucked out and made the right decision. And going forward, there's some really great ones. I've got one I really want to do, hopefully next, and that will be talking about Carlos Tevez. We were potentially going to sign him, but it meant selling Alexandre Pato in January 2012. So that might be an interesting one I might pick up as well, looking back in the past on that one there. But until next time, guys, I do want to bring up how gutting it is that we've seemed to have lost Mike Mignon for 2 months now this season. It's massive blow because the momentum we were picking up going into that international break was so crucial, and it's such a shame, isn't it? It's such a shame that this can happen. You know, I've spoken about injuries a couple of weeks ago, and it's a massive cause for concern. But this seems to be something that just couldn't be preventable. It was a left wrist injury that's just happened because of just a freak accident. It's a freak accident, but it seems to be always the case that when it rains, it pours for this club, and the injuries and the personal availability perspective. But hopefully, players like Stefano and Mirante and the youth team player Jungao, if I pronounced it right, can step up in his absence, and we can continue to do well. But until next time, guys, hopefully we get a win against Hellas Verona on the weekend. Forza Milan.